Welcome back to lesson 3 of week 16. In this lesson, we'll use one of the online LMC simulators to run our Little Man programs. In this lesson, you'll learn how to open one of the online simulators and enter a program using the Little Man computer instruction set. You'll see how to run the program, and then we'll make changes to the program and run it again. Of course, you can use any of the LMC simulators that are available online. If you simply Google LMC simulator, you'll come across loads of really good ones. I've chosen this one. The URL is at the bottom of the screen, so if you type that in, you will see a screen exactly like this, ready to go. Before we go any further, look for the box that says run when typing and uncheck that. Remove the tick in that box. We don't really want the program to start running as we type the commands. Now we're ready to type in the program. What I suggest that you do is take the program that we did last lesson and just type it in exactly as we see it. You can type in either the mnemonic assembly language or the number codes. I suggest that you type in the assembly language commands on the right of the screen. The computer will then automatically fill in the machine code equivalent of each assembly language instruction. You can do it the other way if you want, and perhaps later on you'd like to experiment with either of those. The program is now in the computer's memory over to the left-hand side of the screen. So all those machine code equivalents have been put into the first 6 memory locations. So let's have another look at what we see on the screen. The instruction set is shown. The codes aren't actually identical to the ones that we've learnt in class. A couple of them are slightly different, but the good news is that this simulator will understand the instruction codes that we know. Using these instruction codes, you can type in a program line by line, and we've seen that if you type in the assembly language instructions in the right-hand column, the computer will fill in the machine code equivalent in the left-hand column. Having done that, the computer copies all the codes into its memory locations. This is a 6-line program, so it copies the codes into the first 6 memory locations. There are some other things on the screen, so let's have a look at those now. The accumulator is there. Some of the commands overwrite the accumulator, and so you'll see the contents of the accumulator changing as you run the program. As the program runs, you'll see messages appear here telling you what the computer is doing. The current program doesn't have any inputs, but if you have a program with inputs, you can type them in there before the program begins. The current program doesn't have any outputs either, but later on we'll be doing programs that have got outputs, and they will appear in that box there. Okay, so you should now know everything that happens on the screen of this simulator as you run a program. Now we can run the whole program in one go, or we could step through line by line. Let's do that for now. So find the button that says step and click on it once to step through the very first instruction in the program. When you do that, what do you see on the screen? Which memory address has been selected? What is the instruction at that memory address? What does this instruction mean, and what is the value in the accumulator now? You clicked on step once and saw what happens when you step through line 1. Now step through every line of the program. If you've done any typos, by the way, you can correct it on the screen, and observe the screen contents as the program runs to conclusion. When you've got that program working and running correctly, you can add some amendments to it. Add some commands so that the program begins by inputting values to two data locations and outputting the final result. And then run your amended program in the simulator. There are many different ways to do this, but here's an example that I wrote. So the lines of the program are written on the right hand side and the computer has generated the machine code automatically on the left hand side. If you weren't able to do this activity, you can simply copy this program here, but there are many other ways to amend the program to do what I've just asked you to do. This program will require some inputs, so because it takes two data inputs, so type two numbers, whatever numbers you want. I've chosen 4 and 7. Type them in the input box, and then you can click on Run to run the whole program, or on Step to step through the program line by line. As you run this program, look out for the messages, the contents of the accumulator, and any outputs produced by the program. Look at this as you step through the program line by line, or if you run the whole program in one go. And then try changing the inputs in the input box and running it again. You might also have noticed that the people who made the website have provided an example program. So if you click on example code, it will load a longish program and you can run that and see what it does. So you've learned how to use the online simulator. You've seen how to type in a program and what you'll see on the screen when you run the program, and how to change the inputs and look at the resulting outputs of the program. So I'm going to leave you with two activities. If you're my students, these activities are written out in full in workbooks 2 and 3. In workbook 2, you're asked to load that example program that I just showed you and trace the contents of the accumulator as the program is run. And in workbook 3, you're challenged to write your own Little Man computer programs. So there should be something there for everybody to be getting on with. That's the last of the lessons for this week, but we'll look a bit more at Little Man computing next week. Bye for now.